Our planet is vast with countless fascinating places to hide or get lost for days. But there's also been people who found themselves in the most unimaginable situations and have lived to tell the tale. Some of these individuals defied all odds, while others were just lucky enough to make it out alive. In this video, we will take a look at 15 people who have defied the impossible and survived against all odds. And trust us, their stories are as inspiring as they are unbelievable. Let's start with number 15. Travis the chimpanzee. Travis, a chimpanzee who grew up in a Connecticut household, was more like a child than a pet. His family, treating him as one of their own, dressed him, fed him, and even took him to work. But after the death of the family patriarch, Travis's behavior grew erratic, and one fateful day, he escaped. What followed was a brutal attack on a woman that would forever change her life. The woman called 911, but by the time authorities arrived, she was left with severe disfigurements, including blindness. Travis was eventually shot and killed, but the aftermath of this tragedy rippled through the community. This story is a stark reminder of the unpredictable and dangerous nature of wild animals, no matter how domesticated they seem. Sometimes, the wild in them is just waiting to break free. Number 14. Richard Hoagland. Richard Hoagland's disappearance in the early 90s stunned everyone who knew him. A seemingly normal man, he lived in Indianapolis with his wife Linda and their children. But something inside him began to change. Quietly, he withdrew from family life, spending hours alone in his thoughts. Then, without warning, he vanished. A fake medical emergency report was filed, and the family, left in a state of confusion and anguish, assumed the worst. In 2003, he was declared dead by the state. But in a shocking twist, Richard resurfaced in 2016, living under a different identity in Florida. He had assumed the name of a man who had died in a fishing accident. The truth came out when a relative of the deceased man discovered the ruse. Richard's explanation was simple. He wanted to escape his responsibilities. The fallout was catastrophic, and his actions led to a legal battle that would haunt his family forever. Number 13. The spillway rescue at Longhorn Dam. On June 10, 2021, an accident at Longhorn Dam in Austin, Texas, highlighted the dangers of ignoring safety warnings. The dam, towering 36 feet high and stretching 2,231 feet long, is designed to divert excess water during heavy rainfall, but not to save people caught in peril. A group of water sports enthusiasts found themselves perilously close to the edge when their boat got trapped in the dam's current. As they were helplessly dragged toward the spillway, panic set in, and the group called for rescue. The situation could have turned fatal if not for the swift actions of local responders. Within minutes, a team arrived to save the day, pulling the terrified passengers from the brink. Though shaken, all survived. The incident served as a reminder of how quickly nature can turn deadly, and how vital it is to respect the forces at play in these powerful natural structures. Number 12. The lost boy who found his way home. In 1986, 5-year-old Saru Brierley made a decision that would change his life forever. While waiting for his older brother on a train platform in India, Saru boarded a train that he thought would take him back to his family. Instead, the train hurtled across the country, and Saru ended up in Kolkata, over 1,000 miles away from his home. Unable to understand the local language and with no way to contact his family, Saru spent years on the streets, eventually finding refuge in an orphanage. He was later adopted by an Australian couple, but his longing for home never faded. Decades later, Saru used Google Earth to track down his childhood memories and pinpoint his birthplace. In 2012, after 25 years apart, Saru was reunited with his family. His story, immortalized in the book and film Lion, serves as a testament to the power of hope and perseverance. Number 11. The vanishing of Stephen Kubacki. Stephen Kubaki's story will haunt your thoughts long after you hear it. In 1978, the 23-year-old college student vanished during a cross-country skiing trip in Saugatuck, Michigan. What was meant to be a short winter getaway turned into an unimaginable mystery. Stephen, a pro skier, failed to return home, prompting a search that soon grew cold. A week passed, and authorities called off the search. But 3 months later, a fisherman discovered Stephen's backpack and skis floating on Lake Michigan, near where he was last seen. Authorities assumed he had drowned after falling through the ice, swept away by the lake's undertow. But in May 1979, Stephen was found in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, 1,000 miles away from where he had disappeared. He had no memory of the past 15 months. Strangely, he wore unfamiliar clothes and carried a backpack full of maps. Some believe amnesia was to blame, while others speculate abduction by extraterrestrials. Was he caught in a bizarre twist of fate, or is there a darker truth hiding beneath the surface? Well, let us know in the comment below. Now let's move to number 10, the rescue of baby Jessica. On October 16, 1987, a miracle unfolded that captured the attention of the world. 18-month-old Jessica McClure, playing innocently in her backyard, fell into an abandoned well. Trapped 22 feet below the surface, the little girl's cries echoed as rescue teams scrambled to save her. For 58 grueling hours, workers dug relentlessly, fighting against the clock and unforgiving rock formations. As the days dragged on, Jessica's cries and even her singing were heard through the microphone lowered into the well, offering a glimmer of hope. Finally, just as the sun set on that fateful day, Jessica was pulled from the darkness of the well, covered in dirt but miraculously unharmed. The world watched, breathless, as the resilient little girl was reunited with her family. Her remarkable survival led to widespread admiration and even a trust fund of $800,000 raised in her honor. Her story is a testament to the power of hope and human perseverance. Number 9. Scott Castle and the giant Humboldt squid. For Scott Castle, the ocean had always been a place of awe, but one encounter with the notorious Humboldt squid would shake him to his core. Scott had spent years studying ocean creatures, especially the fearsome squid, which the locals in his village called the Red Demon. In 1980, on an expedition to study these creatures, Scott found himself face to face with one of the ocean's most aggressive hunters. The squid, with tentacles stretching over 30 feet, attacked with terrifying speed, wrapping its massive limbs around Scott's arms and legs. Scott recalls hearing the eerie, screeching sound of the squid's thousands of teeth. With a mix of panic and survival instinct, he fought back with all his might. His team, waiting on the surface, managed to rescue him just in time. Though Scott emerged relatively unscathed, the attack left a deep scar on his brain. What had seemed like a routine dive turned into a terrifying battle for survival. Number 8. Aldi's 49 days lost at sea. Aldi, a young fisherman from Indonesia, thought he had weathered the worst. He had already survived being lost at sea twice before. But in 2018, his third ordeal would test him in ways unimaginable. While working on a traditional wooden raft known as a rompong, the ropes anchoring Aldi's shelter snapped, sending him drifting into the vast ocean. At first, Aldi survived on limited supplies, but soon, hunger and thirst forced him to catch fish and filter seawater with his shirt. Each day was a struggle, his hopes of rescue fading with each passing hour. For 49 days, Aldi fought the elements, relying on his willpower and faith to stay alive. Just as the ocean seemed ready to claim him, a passing ship spotted him, rescuing Aldi from the depths of despair. His miraculous survival against the odds is a chilling reminder of the relentless power of the sea and the will to survive in the face of impossible odds. Number 7. Paul Templar. Fight with a hippopotamus. Paul Templar's encounter with a hippopotamus in Zimbabwe was a battle of raw survival. While working as a tour guide on the Zambezi River, Paul was unexpectedly attacked by a massive hippopotamus. Without any kind of warning, the powerful animal lunged at him, dragging him underwater in a terrifying display of strength. But Paul refused to surrender. Fighting against the animal's crushing jaws, he punched and kicked the hippopotamus, targeting its face and eyes, desperate to break free. After what seemed like an eternity, the hippopotamus relented and swam away, leaving Paul badly wounded, but alive. His friends rushed to his aid, and he was quickly transported to a hospital. The incident left Paul with a newfound respect for the hippopotamus, an animal known for its unpredictability and deadly temperament. Despite the trauma, he survived to tell the tale of his unbelievable fight. His words were, "I was swallowed by a hippo and ripped apart." While some might not believe it, but it's a 100% real, actual story. Number 6. Tammy's survival at sea. Tammy Oldham Ashcraft's 41-day struggle for survival at sea is a story that will both terrify and inspire you. In 1983, while on a journey from Tahiti to San Diego with her partner Richard, the two encountered the ferocity of Hurricane Raymond. The storm devastated their yacht, and while Richard tragically did not survive, Tammy was left stranded alone on the wrecked vessel, miles from land. With no communication equipment, limited food and water, and an injured leg, Tammy faced insurmountable odds. Yet, against all expectations, she refused to give up. She collected rainwater, repaired the ship as best she could, and used the stars to navigate the broken yacht. For 41 days, Tammy endured the relentless elements of the open ocean. Finally, a passing cargo ship spotted her, rescuing the exhausted but resolute survivor. Tammy's story is one of unwavering determination and the will to survive against the most daunting challenges imaginable. Number 5. The mysterious lives of identical twins. The story of the identical twins, Jim and Jim, is nothing short of extraordinary. Separated at birth, the two were adopted by different families, one raised in Lima, Ohio, and the other in a nearby town. Despite growing up apart, their lives unfolded in eerie synchronicity. Both adopted families, unaware of the twins' existence, named their sons Jim. As children, the two had a remarkable number of parallels. Both had dogs named Toy, both excelled in math and wood carving, and both eventually married two women named Linda, followed by two women named Betty. But the coincidences didn't end there. They each had a son, and even more remarkably, they named their sons the same. Their careers mirrored one another as well, both working in security. It wasn't until 1977, when they were 39 years old, that they were finally reunited. The uncanny similarities between the two sparked intrigue and left many wondering, was it destiny or simply an astonishing series of coincidences? Number 4. Carl Ley and the leopard attack. Carl Ley, often hailed as the father of modern taxidermy, is not just known for his work with animals, but for his near-death encounter with one. In 1896, during an expedition to Africa, Ley's life would change forever. While exploring the dense wilderness of what is now Somalia, he was startled by a movement in the brush. Before he could react, a leopard pounced on him, its claws sinking into his flesh. In a moment of sheer determination and survival instinct, Carl fought back with nothing but his bare hands. Against all odds, the leopard finally released its grip and retreated into the wild. Barely able to comprehend the shock, Carl stumbled back to camp, where his colleagues tended to his wounds. The attack left a deep scar, but it also ignited in him a newfound respect for the brutal dangers of the African wilderness. This terrifying encounter marked the beginning of a more cautious yet resolute journey for Carl Ley. Now let's move to Number 3. The bizarre chimney rescue. In an incident that defies belief, Emergency responders were called to a super bizarre rescue in downtown Tucson. A man had somehow found himself trapped inside a chimney while he was attempting to break into a house. So how did he get stuck there? Well, no one knows for sure, but by the time the fire department arrived, the intruder had been wedged in for hours. With no easy way to reach him, emergency crews had to employ a mix of creativity and problem-solving skills to free the man from his precarious position. As they carefully extricated him from the chimney, he emerged without a scratch, albeit with a deep sense of embarrassment. He was promptly handed over to law enforcement, but the strange nature of the crime left the public wondering, why would someone attempt to enter a house through the chimney? It remains an unsolved mystery that adds to the bizarre lore of strange and ill-advised burglaries. Number 2. Colleen Stan. The case of Colleen Stan is one of the most harrowing stories of captivity ever told. In 1977, 20-year-old Colleen, a hitchhiker traveling to Northern California, was picked up by Cameron and Janice Hooker, a seemingly ordinary couple. What followed was a nightmare beyond imagination. Colleen was taken to their home and locked away in a small wooden box in the basement, where she was kept for a staggering 16 years. Forced to live in this suffocating confinement for up to 23 hours a day, Colleen endured physical and psychological torment at the hands of her captors. Yet, amid this unthinkable cruelty, a sliver of hope emerged when Janice, the wife, began to sympathize with Colleen. In an act of defiance, Janice took her to a bus station, allowing her to escape. Colleen's strength and courage saw her through, and Cameron was eventually sentenced to 104 years in prison. So, if you ever find yourself in a seemingly harmless situation, remember the story of Stan and how one moment can change everything. Number 1. Sue Spector's terrifying encounter with an otter. Otters might seem like playful creatures, but as Sue Spector discovered, they can be far more dangerous than they appear. In 2018, 77-year-old Sue was kayaking along the Ohio River in central Florida, enjoying the tranquility of the water, when out of nowhere, a large otter leaped into her boat. Without warning, it launched a ferocious attack, clawing and biting her with all the intensity of a wild predator. Sue fought back desperately, using her kayak paddle to defend herself. The battle was intense, but after what seemed like an eternity, she managed to break free. Bruised, bloodied, and shaken, Sue was rushed to the hospital, requiring multiple stitches and suffering scars on her face, arms, and legs. The incident serves as a stark reminder. When we enter the territory of the wild, we are no longer the dominant species. If not for her quick thinking, Sue might not have survived. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.